Well, we've got down to Glenn and Wolf are the last two players here for this round of four. And this should be an exciting match. So Glenn, he was the runner-up in the last Community Cup, and I think actually really surprised blasting through to this round of four. Um, Maybe an underdog in the tournament, and Wolf, as possibly expected, coming in here, and he's currently the number one, has been number one for a while.
I mean, in a very rare occurrence, I will jump in and say about Glenn. We give him a lot of stick, but this guy is a very, very good player who should not
Oh
be
yeah,
discounted by any means. He's an excellent player.
absolutely. I mean, what is your prediction for score for this round?
I reckon Glenn breaks the format and loses 4-0. No, I honestly think I think this will be a close one. I'm gonna say 3-1 Wolf, but I think they'll all be good games.
I was gonna say 3-1, but just because you said that, I'm gonna go 3-2 Wolf,
Okay.
because being the same is no fun. But, but we do see. Oh, it looked like they were queuing up, but did they cancel out?
I think they managed to bug the game out, which is impressive. Yep, Glenn's just restarting, so I think their game will be underway in a second.
But like we had said, Glenn, he came in second for the last Community Cup, which I know they're coming up with another one here in the next few days. So if you're interested
Yes,
in participating in a tournament, watch for that.
absolutely. I'm working
Should
quite
be
closely with Zalx on organizing that, so it's gonna be brilliant. Do make sure you sign up to it.
that's
It's gonna be a lot
fantastic.
of fun.
So we'll get this game started here real shortly. Wolf has been showing consistent with his Raptor deck, which is kind of the one that he's been championing. But he's going to go ahead and pull out the Linza to start, which
It's
I
going to be
can't remember.
interesting. Lens of Eve and Escula is always an interesting matchup because actually some of that like really bursty damage that Lens is capable of can really stop Venescula in her tracks.
Yeah, he's got a Dust Devil there in his first
He
hand,
does have a
which
Dust Devil.
if he can pick up the weapon, turn one Dust Devil could be
It's
a
a
nice pickup
lot to
from
spend an
Rocket
Ice
Gravity.
Warrior on though. He also has the Fremennik
Yeah,
Crafter there, so if he does want to go for sort of second, third chapter options, that is an excellent choice.
yeah. So he's setting
He
him
is
up
going to
still
go
for,
for the
for the
Dust
late game.
Devil.
Yeah, I
So he's taking
mean,
7 damage, and he's going to end up with 3 gold, but he is going to have lowered their base attack onto 1, which is it's relatively powerful. So we will see. Oh, it's only going to be 5 damage actually, of course, because he is going to have the weapon. So it's actually a fairly strong play. He is going to miss out on that first slot griefing that so many players like to do right now, but it is still very powerful. I mean, if there's an Alpha Werewolf waiting in that second slot, this game could be over very swiftly.
yeah, and I mean, he was planning to throw an alpha, but he changed it out for the Cardassian Warrior, and he's gonna have the Slime Toes or as in Glenn's gonna have the Slime Toes
Yeah,
to take it down. So, and with the
absolutely.
KGB agent there, he's gonna be fine, but
He's
it could have
swapping it
gone worse
around.
for him. He's thinking.
He is thinking. The bar fight first is a very interesting move.
Because he knew that there might be a weapon coming down, but it's not
Yeah, and
gonna.
it's actually going to break it. It's not going to
Yeah,
trigger the Dust Devil.
so that was a clutch move
That
on
is a
his part.
huge read on his part.
We do have a 5 minute delay on these streams, right? Because that was great. And like we were saying,
I'm not
at
sure
these
if we do.
top
I don't think
levels,
we do have a delay on these streams.
at the top level, I mean, they're making such fantastic plays.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt and just say that was an excellent read that he came up
I,
with mid round. But
I can confirm that there's a 5 minute delay on these, yeah. But so I mean, that's impressive
that is
that he was
very
able to.
very impressive plays.
He is going to go ahead and move into this second chapter. No attack power decrease, and Wolf is probably not going to be overly excited about that.
Yeah, he's probably going to be feeling pretty salty about that. He's got quite a slow round. He is going to use the Varric Museum just for the 2 gold there, but it is going to open up the full Tetsu. That's a nice tanky round coming out from him, especially coming against sort of Venesculo, where you are going to get like Alpha Werewolf gorged. Actually, really nice sustained based round.
Yeah, and I mean, he's thinking about playing the Tetsu, expecting to take damage, because if he doesn't take damage, then it's a kind of a wasted amount of health. He's changing his mind there, Does he want to play it? Does he expect to take damage? Because I mean, he's gaining a 6 and a 7 health. He doesn't currently have that much lost, so it's up to him. It's up to Venesculo for Glenn if he puts the damage on, and does have that Ogre Brute there in slot 1
Yeah.
for Glenn.
It's an interesting one. I mean, that Ogre Brute, thankfully, is getting pretty countered. I say thankfully. I just love seeing an Ogre Brute not work. It is thankfully not going to have the impact that it was intended to, and he is going to take a little bit of damage from that as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to take the 6 that it deals, and Wolf is only going to take 4, but he's going to gain 2 of that back. So really not paying off as much as Glenn was
It's not
hoping
paid
for.
off at all, and also he's trying to snipe a weapon here, and he's going to be swinging at the air because there is not one to snipe. And also, we have that nice full Tetsu sitting at the end there for Wolf, which is going to heal him up nicely.
So, I mean, that was perfect play to put that Tetsu there, and he used both of his bar fights, so he's got to be careful now on sniping weapons because he's kind of used his options up on that one. Unless he has a wilderness or some other thing that pops up into his hand.
Very interested to see what comes out next chapter here. Kaija's tournament coming out for Wolf.
So there he's got 2 attack power buffs.
Not particularly anything to use it on, though. I mean, he can go... Oh, we can't even get the gold up for the fishing trawler. So actually, it's going to be a fairly slow round for Wolf, which might actually give Glenn a little bit of breathing space and actually allow him to gain back some of that momentum that he wants.
Yeah, and I mean, his last round ended up being a lot better than I think we were both expecting, because it kind of seemed slow at the beginning, but then Glenn
Wolf
really
is
whiffed on some of his placements.
Wolf has fully open-roaded that chapter.
Yeah, and he's hit the submit. He is sold on it.
So this is a free chapter of momentum swinging back for Glenn. This is huge for him.
He's going to pick up the 2 armor from that slime toe. He's going to pick up the weapon. He's going to be able to one-hit that Ogre Brute. And that's really not what Wolf wanted to do. But, I mean, he really didn't have a whole lot of options.
He didn't have too many options. I mean, personally, I would have played, like, the Kaijas at least. But, yeah, at the end of the day, like, he didn't have any options to go for there. So maybe he's just wanting to keep his cards close to his chest and roll into the next chapter, hoping for something a little bit better.
What is the win condition that Wolf is looking for with this deck?
Well, that's the thing you've always got to ask yourself with Wolf. He's a very good player, and you're never quite sure where it's going to come from. We are seeing major card draw and gold gain going on here. And a fishing trawler. He's tanking him out, is what he's doing. Yeah. He's tanking him out, and he's going to gain... I'd like to think there might be almost like a Dragon Longsword or something there that he just wants to drop at the end and just beat them to death in the end fight. And actually, Tank Linza is something we're seeing more and more of these days.
Was that something as a design perspective the team was going for with a Linza?
Absolutely. We always looked at Linza and we said, we don't just want her to build a big weapon. Of course we want her to do that. Building big weapons and smashing stuff is awesome. But we also want, you know, them to be used for everything. You want them to trade them, get armor, anything you want with weapons. So yeah, that's definitely something we wanted for Linza.
And we've seen some neat Grief Linza decks in play. I can't remember which of one of the people that brought it. But we did see that, and so he is going to draw another Dust Devil. But Venesculo already up at 4. I'm not sure that it's worth it at this point.
No, I personally wouldn't use the Dust Devil. I thoroughly expect to see him tank it out and sink that gold into something that's going to help him win the end fight.
And with those Monkfish, that heals both players, so he's going to keep the Venesculo out of mortal range, which is going to just deny a lot of that extra damage that Glenn would be hoping for.
So there go the Monkfish.
And there is a wilderness there at the end of the chapter for Glenn, so he is going to hit him for 8. But with all 3 of those
it's a nice hit.
It's
a really nice hit. That's 10 damage onto Wolf there, but he has got 24 healings worth of Monkfish, which is very big. All he has to do is step into the end fight with better stats than Glenn, and he can win this. Interestingly enough, he does have that Major Mary Rancor there, so if he wants to go for the weapon grief, he actually can.
So going first, it's up for Glenn to get that last weapon, though Glenn had 0 cards, so he is at the mercy of the draw. Picking up some health.
He can't do it, though.
Picking up.
He can't do it. He can't tank to the end fight. Even if he did all of that and the Kaijaz, he wouldn't win. Venesculo has 4 base attack, and he knows it. He's going to have to go for this weapon grief.
That is his only option.
Oh, repurposing. Interesting choice. Yeah, he's wondering what to do. He does not know what to do. That's actually lower effective HP gain per slot, though, than just playing the Monkfish. I don't know what his plan is here. He's just going to catch her up in in base damage.
The attack
That's all he's
power.
going to do.
Right. I
And
mean,
on
it's
Glenn's
gonna
side,
come.
as we
He's
see
got
on
to be
Glenn's side,
calculating in his head.
yeah, we see on Glenn's side, he's got this. Like he does any damage to Wolf right now, and he walks away with this game.
Right. I mean, he's gonna get that Alpha Werewolf Chapter 1 or Slot 1.
There goes the armor.
And that's going to go straight through the armor down to
Glenn
what?
has got
3
this.
health?
Yeah.
4 health? I think that he does. Because
3
he's got
HP,
some
armor, 4 base attack, and it's not going to be enough. Glenn is already on 4 base attack. He's just catching up.
Yeah, and so Glenn is going to take this first
Glenn
game.
is actually going to take game 1. There we go. We shouldn't sound so surprised at that. But like I said, Glenn's an excellent player. He played that perfectly at the end.
That's right. I mean, he was able to take it.
What you're going to do. I'm going to let you get there to tank up, and then I'm just going to absolutely deny it. And yeah, there we go. We are going to see Glenn take game 1.
Toe to toe with it. Yeah. Look at that. And he heals up 29 HP all the way, or 27, I guess. And Glenn is going to go 1-0 on to Wolf at the moment. I think my stream is actually a little bit behind, so I'm going to have to refresh myself. But fantastic play by Glenn, being able to...
Superb play by Glenn, yeah.
Game number 2 coming up in this series, of course, Glenn versus Wolf. I'll be casting now with Mod Merchants, and by the looks of it, we see Glenn already queuing up with Ariane. Absolutely knows the class he wants to play. Going into this confidently with his second class. Wolf, though, deciding which to choose.
You just touched on the really interesting thing that's going to fascinate me: the confidence here now. You know, you're taking on Wolf. He's the rank 1 guy. He sits at the top of the leaderboard, and you're 1-0 up against him. What does that do to your state when you're playing?
Yeah, you know, you're going to be perhaps a bit more nervous. You know, Wolf has a lot on the line here and wants to show that he is definitely worthy of being a winner in the finals here. But this is his opening hand, right? And this is, of course, going to mulligan everything away, looking for that early attack gain, like the KGP agents in the Kaizash tournament, and the weapons like Kale, and, of course, the card drawer as well. Doesn't find any early attack gain, but should be okay with a Count Draenor and a Jad and a Kale. Going to be able to get that out early on. And, of course, Ariane...
is a lovely value card for this.
Absolute pile of stats, right?
Absolute pile of stars. Love it.
Yep.
Alpha Emissary, wonderful inclusion in this Raptor deck as well.
That, however, is 6 attack. He will not be able to, you know, he's going to take something from the Jad. He knows that, obviously. He's going to move that down, and he's probably working this out. Actually, how does he kill that? That's interesting. He's going to have to Wilderness to take some damage there, so the Count Draenor will actually trigger. Of course, you have to be on full life. You can't be on full life for that to work, can you?
Yeah, exactly. You'd have to Wilderness first, Kale, Count Draenor, Jad.
Yeah, let's switch over to his opponent and see what he's decided. Double Ali Morrison into Wizard's Mind Bomb and the Calphite Worker, piling up the gold in the card draw, right?
Classic first chapter Ariane right there. Stats, golden stats. Thank you very much.
Yeah, wants to fill a hand up.
We are seeing the Wilderness first. He hit on it.
I wonder what the rest of his chapter is. We'll have to see what happens here. But of course, gonna play Wilderness first. Maybe he snipes the Calphite Worker. I think that's what he was aiming for with that Wilderness placement. Yeah, there's the please forgive me. That's absolutely confirmed it in his mind. Of course, want to deny the Calphite Worker weapon so that Alchemy will not resolve, and then deny gold for perhaps that Chapter 1 spellbook, which I think Glenn was possibly aiming for. Nothing else this chapter, though. Really awkward. Couldn't really play anything, right?
Yeah, that was an awkward chapter coming up for Wolf there, and to be honest, I do wonder against a 7 gold Ariane, how is that going to hurt his momentum heading into the second chapter?
Yeah, you need to get up to that 3 AP so you can start killing those Daganov fledglings so that you can really start getting the health back. Of course, Ariane, very aggressive.
It is worth pointing out that he can steal health now, so those Jads are open to him. If he Kales, Draenors, and Jads, he can get up to 3 base attack.
Yeah.
Although, really, that's a lot of investment just for a base attack.
Though it will still only steal 2, so
yeah, exactly. That is... It'll be a one-hit kill range, though, with the Kale.
That is absolutely true.
Huge investment for that Jad stats. I mean, people look at Jad, and it's very easy to go, that guy's massive, let's smash him. However, when you actually look at it, you don't get that much from it. It's a bit of a red herring of a card.
Yeah, a Calphite Worker coming out... Sorry, Calphite Emissary coming out. Oh, the more interesting thing, right, is that Ice Nile there. That's, he's going to take quite a lot of damage from that. I wonder... He's looking to get into mortal range to trigger the full Darox. Yeah. That's and then that's how he gets back up into the game, right? You get your AP going really, really nice with that. The Calphite Emissary placement going to give him some gold as well, and perhaps Sniper Weapon. Of course, Ariane does run Kale, and that is something that could come out. He's
running a great danger here, though.
Yeah, this is
9 HP.
but this is the safest way to get into mortal range, because you do get some of that health back in the form of armor. It's certainly not desirable, and I'm not saying that this is... Wolf is feeling happy about this, but certainly is now able to run more, and that's the only way he can build his attack. He needs to do something.
Oh my goodness, this snipe though.
Yeah, the Calphite Emissary coming in strong, gonna remove that entirely.
Snipe.
And now I imagine there's something like a Yoga Shaman at the top there, and if he's got no weapon to fight that, that's 16 damage to the face.
It's a White Wolf. He's got
okay.
fortunate. It is only a White Wolf, but
White
it's still
Wolf.
a nice little bit of damage there.
Yeah,
I
but
would like to see Wolf play this a little more contextually and actually think about going down to 9 health versus an Ariane though.
Yeah,
like,
but the difficulty of it is...
He does not have the gold there for a Sarabru.
We'll have to see if that's in his deck. I think the difficulty it was, though, is he had to play cards. Otherwise, your hand does not change, because if you don't play any cards, you won't have space to draw new ones. So Wolf knew he had to do something, and going down to 9, I absolutely agree with you, is not something he really wants to do at all, but is now up to a fairly good total attack. Look at that, 8 in total using that 4-1 weapon to bring it up. He can slam a Jad.
There's an Earthwave sitting there, which there is. There's an Earthwave sitting in Glenn's hand. He's got it.
Yeah, that's lethal, right? He's going first.
Yeah, he's got the lethal, yeah. Earthwave.
Yeah.
He's done it. Glenn's 2-0 up.
That's 3, 4, 5, plus 4, there's 9 damage. Yeah, that's exactly...
Counting.
Plus the 3 cards. Will he see it, though? Will he slam it down? He did hover over it briefly.
He slammed it down. There's going to be 1 over lethal.
Slamming it down just now on my screen. Yeah, there it is. And there's nothing Wolf can do about that. Of course, he's going second. He cannot get the health off of that Count Drainer, which would heal him for 4. And I think just given a little bit of extra time, if he was able to do it just a tiny bit more in the previous chapters, he could have had a bit of extra health, just float out of range of that Earth Wave. And if he was able to do that, then the Count Drainer here would resolve with the 4 health. And then, of course, he'd get 4 armor off the Jad. And maybe he'd just be able to climb out of range. But here, Ariane just close enough to kill him and does exactly that with the Earth Wave.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm gonna be slightly devil's advocate here, and I'm gonna say that Nihil lost him the game. I think he should abide his patience, even if he had to burn Barricade when he couldn't afford it to free up the hand size. I don't think he should have fought that Nihil.
Yeah, I'd have to watch it back and see what was in his hand, but just take it. Going down to 9 is absolutely horrible, right? I really don't want that. Typhlicky,
So we're gonna see Wolf return to Linza. Interesting.
So I mean, that's gonna be interesting because Glenn knows this Linza deck. He just played it. It's up to him to play around things that he knows are coming. And he's going to pull a double KJP agent on that first slot. Getting rid of the weapons. Going to get rid of both of them, actually.
Interesting to see the Ogre Warlord here for Glenn.
Let's see, Glenn. He's going to keep he's going to only keep the Kaijaz tournament.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what this Chapter 1 looks like for Glenn. There's not that much there. He can double Wilderness. Very aggressive, but it may be necessary here. If he wants to burn weapon durability, it could actually be very powerful.
Glenn has pulled the Virago, which is going to be one of his late-game finishers.
Absolutely.
But it's good to have that in his hand, knows that he can build towards that. And so it's just his goal to try and hold out until he can get the combo.
Yeah, I mean, one of the really interesting things to point out is that with the double Wilderness in his hand and the Kaijaz on the board, that Dark Beast is going to draw nothing.
Yeah. And
you mean the Dark Beast?
Yep. I said Dark Beast.
Hold out until he can get the combo.
Yeah, I mean, one of the really interesting things to point out is that with the double Wilderness in his hand and the Kaijaz on the board, that Dark Beast is going to draw nothing.
Yeah. And
you mean the Dark Beast?
Yep. I said Dark Beast, didn't I?
I think you said Kaizaj, but we know what you meant. Of course, Kaizaj, one of the things that can be drawn.
So,
Virago Chapter 1, is he really going to do that? I'm going to join you, by the way, guys.
My goodness.
Chapter 1 Virago, that is ballsy, and I actually quite like this versus Linza, because Linza traditionally doesn't have any sort of damage. There's no going to be random scorpions there. If he does go down to 1 attack, though, that is the end of the game, because you'll be exactly on 2 life if you attack a Virago with only 3 attack. But if he does get that weapon, he'll be able to slam dunk the Dark Beasts there and start pulverizing in the... he thinks it's a bit risky. He's going to rejig the turn.
I'm glad that he's seen sense there. I mean, that was I have a lot of respect for a ballsy play, but there's ballsy and then there is clinically insane. So
yeah, nice Wilderness placement though. It's not going to work out too well on this particular time because he's still going to have enough durability for the Dust Devil to resolve.
It's the smart play though. It's the smart play. Like if there was anything like a Kale or something there that could have potentially been
or Goblin Raider or Corpse Archer, anything else. else, and a Dust Devil
Absolutely,
wouldn't resolve, but only going to deny one gold
even
from
in this
that.
situation, even this, I'm guessing there's a Yelps coming up, and that's actually going to break the Yelps. He's broken the Yelps. It's not going to work. So actually, a loss of 4 gold overall there for the Linzer, which is pretty nice. Like, if they're going to be spending that much money, it's nice to deny them as much of it as you can.
Yeah, going to slow the Karams down, that's for sure. He's still got enough for
It's
a
not
Karam.
often that you play a Kaijaz and they end up with less gold than they would have had.
So chapter 2 here. Karam does come down
It's gonna
for
throw
Wolf.
the Karam down there, yeah. And that's a pretty smart move. I mean, that's going to shut down a lot of expectations that Wolf has with having this 3 health or 3 attack power. He's going to tank a lot more than he probably would have hoped for.
Yeah, and I don't think Wolf's shown this deck yet, so nobody knows what is in it. Only he knows, and we see the Karam there. I don't think Glenn's going to be expecting that. And if I'm being entirely honest...
I was talking... It was crazy, because earlier when we were talking about Grief, I was talking about the power of slot 1 Karams in Chapter 2, and it's really interesting
You
that we're
were.
actually seeing that. Because it can be a crazily good play. Especially when you're playing around weapons, it really messes up the whole timing for everything. Like, all of a sudden, you're not one-hitting that Sentinel.
Yeah, and I think that might be a Sentinel there. Still, yeah, it still was intending to 2-hit, so not too much of a problem here. Going to gain 1 back up, but still really, really slowing the Raptor down, and it can be very, very tough as a Raptor. If 2 AP is taken away from you to get off your feet as a Raptor, of course, you need to be building that consistently throughout the game, and Karam just an absolute hard counter to that Raptor agenda.
Absolutely. I love Karam. I don't know why it's not played more, if I'm honest. I think it's a very, very powerful card. And we are actually going to see a Dust Devil again. This is relentless.
He's got to keep him down on as low of an attack power as he can. And part of that's just going to be a mind game for him at this point. Glenn, he's feeling good having 2 games, consistently getting his attack power lowered. It's not going to feel good. Maybe even put him on tilt.
Yeah, and this is the Linzer agenda, right? In this particular matchup, Linzer wants to take her opponent down as much as possible, ideally keep them at 1 attack. Against the Raptor, that can be very, very tough and doesn't always happen, but Linzer wants to go into that final fight with the biggest attack difference possible and as much life as she can, and that is how she's going to win in the final fight. That's this particular deck's agenda.
If I'm Wolf right now, I'm saying there better be a fishing trawler right here. He wants that fishing trawler. That's how he's going to tank to that end fight.
Yeah,
there it is. It just came down on the draw. So we are going to see that fishing trawler come out, I imagine, and we may as well see potentially the Kaijaz and the KGP to get that attack increase up.
It's interesting. They both had fairly empty chapters that last turn. I mean, I think Glenn had 2 empty slots, Wolf had 3, and so I mean, it was anybody's shot to get ahead, but neither had the cards that they wanted to throw down in an order that they were advantageous.
Yeah, so
Wolf's
far...
gonna go ahead and grab 2 more attack power there.
He is going to do that and heal up with the fishing with the fledgling as well. So far, he has been reluctant to play the Kaizash tournament. He doesn't want to give his opponent gold because one of the ways Raptor can really just win this game, this particular matchup, very easily is by trying to get that Virago out. And if he finds the opportunity to play Virago and get that huge weapon that he can bring into the final fight, that can be a real issue. And of course, giving your opponent the gold for something like Barricade, there's not much gold generation in this particular Raptor deck of Wolves, which I believe he calls Dark Strike. Though I wonder how much hard weapon removal he runs, and whether or not that'll be that will see sort of a defining play in this game to counter a Virago weapon.
See, that doesn't particularly seem to be any. I mean, I imagine there's Major Mary Rankers in there potentially.
Yeah, I wonder how many though. That's what I'm wondering.
Yes, absolutely. Because the thing is that people don't understand the difference between putting 1 and 2. Like, 2 is this is a core mechanic. 1 is this is a nice tech card. But the problem with that is, if you don't draw that, you're left sitting there with not much to do, to be honest.
Yeah, and he's really going to need it to stop the Dark Strike power coming in, because if that Virago weapon does go off, there is no doubt about it. Raptor will be well above 10 attack, and then can start slam dunking those Dark Beasts and into the wildernesses, of which we saw he had 2. Though he may have discarded some, I'm not sure, necessarily due to the KGP. But either way, that damage is very scary as Linzer, and it'll be hard to win in the final fight if that is her agenda, which it clearly is. If you're getting spanked. This is the defining chapter then. We'll see what he finds. Does he find any weapon destruction? Doesn't find it.
There's another Dust Devil there. He's going for the Grief again. And a full Tetsu. Yeah, so this is tanking out. This is saying, I'm going to go into the end fight with better stats than you. I don't care what you try. but I'm worried that that is just going to result in a Virago to the face.
Yeah, look at that.
He does have the gold in that barricade. He can easily get it. There's the barricade.
Yeah, playing the White Wolf to bring him up to 4 gold. Take the
Ogre Chieftain, interesting.
Yeah, maybe he's trying to counter a Virago himself. He probably suspects it. Wolf a big fan of that card, and I know like the only reason you tech in this Ogre Chieftain right in this particular matchup, surely as a Raptor, is to hit a giant weapon such as the one Virago might give you. Very popular.
What Glenn's doing? He's trying to predict taking damage to go mortal.
Oh wow,
He's going to out-tech him, and it's going to... Would it work?
Well, he won't be able to afford the barricade if that's the case.
Dust Devil is second slot.
It's not going to make a difference. He's not going to get the mortal.
He's realised that he cannot Dust Devil in first slot because he doesn't have a weapon. Well, Glenn's thinking about it, because theoretically, this is match point for him. If he pulls this chapter off, he's got it.
I wonder who's going to win here. So, going to take, obviously, 3 damage from the White Wolf here, and obviously, Wolf is going to take damage from the Ice Warrior, but well worth it. He's going to take out that Dust Devil, and that 1 AP difference every single time his opponent hits him in that final fight, there'll be 1 less damage. That's what this Dust Devil is representing, so definitely worth investing in, considering he has 14 life coming up at the end of the chapter. Barricade's such a strong card. Going to gain 15 effective life because the 10 armor there.
It is huge.
Yeah, and that's effectively the same as the full Tetsu. So here, the Raptor definitely on a good HP, and yeah, he's only got 3 attack though. How much damage is this going to do? 8 in total, right? But
it'll be none because he's barricaded it.
To his opponent, that is.
It'll be,
oh right, apologies.
It'll do the
8 damage.
Yeah, so 21 life. He does have more AP, but I wonder if that's enough clock to win this fight. The health is quite low, going into this fight with less HP, and I'm not necessarily sure if he can. I'm looking at it. I think he's got it. He's got it by one single hit. Right there. Wolf picking up his first game. Almost was eliminated.
Savagely close.
Yeah.
Almost 3-0'd Wolf.
Yeah, Glenn.
Phenomenal plays there from both players.
Absolutely, yeah.
The amount of foresight we're seeing going into these games is just phenomenal.
Yeah, that wilderness at the very start of the game, I'd like to go back to. That could have been the defining factor of this game, right? Because the Ice Warrior, if that had been into a Dust Devil, and it wasn't an Ice Warrior, say it was some other weapon, that Dust Devil would never have resolved, and his opponent, Glenn, would have had 1 AP for the rest of the entire fight. So something as simple as that can swing it, and, you know, both players thinking about all of these small nuances that are there. So here's the next game. Looks like Wolf going to be queuing up his Raptor again.
Absolutely Raptor. I think Glenn will be playing that same deck, which he is, judging by the looks of it.
Yeah, with the Ogre Chieftains. This time, though, Ogre Chieftain will be far better in this matchup because of the, I think, guaranteed Virago, whereas in the Linzer it was questionable whether or not it would be in there. But, yeah, this first is much better draw. Wolf going to be far happier about this one compared to the previous games where he played this deck against Ariane, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is Wolf basically seeing a bit nicer of a draw come out for him. He has got options there. He's got the Cow Fight. He's got the White Wolf. So there are going to be options in his hand. He's hopefully not going to have so many sort of redundant chapters.
Ooh. Did you see that KGP agent discard?
Burnt the Darren.
Oh wow, that's not so good. It's definitely painful, but in this matchup, it is a lot harder to get to work because Raptor is very, you know, he has. He's not going to be doing as much damage to you until he's ready to kill you in a few hits with the Dark Beast. So getting down to 15 can be quite tough. But, you know, definitely going to be upset about it because it now limits the options to actually use it. You know, you can tank yourself down, and it's very easy to heal back up. You know, you've got 2 Culinarimancers and the Fledglings in this deck. So that could, yeah, real dampener.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting to see, like, it's a good point that you raised. That essentially, that Darix most likely was not going to see use. Because you've got so many sustain cards, they're running Fledglings, Coloromancers. You got to wonder, are they ever actually going to hit that level?
Yeah, you can tank a Jad, but like people have done that, and you know we saw with the Ice Niles, you know, and then because you have so much health, you can get it back up. So definitely, you know, as you mentioned, it's not good that he lost it. But here, what are we going to see? Virago already being considered. He is on 6 attack, right, and. No, he's got 3 base attacks, so he could kill it. That would bring him up to the total he needs. Kill the Dark Beast into the Wilderness, and then he is going first, I believe. No, he's going second, but either way, you would still draw the other Wilderness. I think he's already played Kaizaj Tournament this game. No, he hasn't. He hasn't. He could draw the. He's thinking about it. He could still draw the Kaizaj.
Indeed.
Yeah, Glenn gonna go for it though.
Wow.
Is he gonna? I think the full Darox.
I don't know if Wolf has the sustain there to counter this. He's got the fledgling there, but that's really about it.
Yeah, there's the Virago. Wolf not going to be too happy seeing that. He's on 25 life. Kaizaj tournament going to bring... How much damage is this going to be? So he's going to gain... what is that? That's now 11 total attack into the Dark Beast for... do math interjection. 14 damage. Yeah, plus another 14 plus 2 from the Wilderness. And that is lethal. I think... Yeah, it is.
That is lethal. Wow. However, and he's second with that fledgling. He's going to die. It's going to be 3-1 to Glenn.
Yeah, Virago coming in strong again. Wolf getting a taste of his own medicine. And that, not quite as strong as Wolf's rep when he played Virago in Chapter 2 yesterday.
You know what's just happened?
Wolf has been eliminated. Oh my...
Tom said that he would disenchant his entire collection if the final was Glenn versus YX.
He's already disenchanted his KL and then remade it twice.
But I believe there was discussion of Glenn v YX final. Who's disenchanting?
Oh wow, that is absolutely amazing to see. So Wolf is eliminated from the tournament. The favourite to go ahead and win this, the guy who's currently at rank 1 on ladder, is eliminated by Glenn. Not quite a zero sweep though, which I think is appropriate to say when we're talking about Glenn. But definitely an unexpected result. But Glenn's still a very strong player, well-deserved spot in the finals, you know. And he has made it to finals before, this player as well, hasn't he?
He has indeed, yeah. It's really interesting, like, some of the density of games played by these people is incredible. I mean, the absolute dedication they've put in to reach this level so early in the game's life is amazing. Like you're saying, like, seeing this refined, like, optimized deck play this early on is just incredible.
What I have been speculating about is Cricky's Ozan. He has only pulled it out once so far in the tournament, but this has proven to be one of the newish lists that you don't see on ladder at all. It's,
look at this from Cricky now. You're seeing a cannonball-less Ladies' Day coming out, which is just phenomenal. I mean, that is amazing. That's so aggressive.
I definitely didn't expect that one. But for some reason, I don't have the game up yet on neither of my screens.
You might want to... I don't have it up on Bundy's screen, so Bundy's viewpoint seems to be failing a little bit. But Typhlicky's I do have.
Huh. Oh, it bugged out for me. Now it's there. I'm sorry. I was...
It's not showing up for me either. We're gonna see.
Yeah, so we're definitely into the game now, and I'm sorry for the confusion. And we're gonna see an early spellbook coming out here from YX, who is trying to get that sweet value out of those cards. And it will be very hard for Cricky to play around the spellbook in the following chapter.
Especially as you're seeing some really aggressive play come out. So, you know, any sort of alpha werewolf or anything he wants to go for is off the table, because it's just going to get boosted.
It's definitely going to get griefed, and he draws a bar fight here, but he doesn't really want to use it. He doesn't find the final use for the weapon unless he wants to run it into the Creation Warrior, which would be the priority target here.
Actually quite a weak draw for Cricky here, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's running out of steam.
He can't even hit the gold for that Gorge in case he is going to take a lot of damage.
He was hoping for a better draw here, keeping the Gorge in hand, but I don't think he'll do that much this chapter, especially with this draw, because if he plays the KGP, he'll most likely discard a card of high value. If he discards the Gorge, it's a disaster. He might want to keep the bar fight to grieve a future weapon to hinder an alchemy play. So I don't know if it's good for him to play anything at all here. He might be better off with sitting it out.
It's a bit of a... I imagine that's quite disappointing when you're trying to build up that aggro momentum and you get somebody down fairly efficiently, to see them sort of, without hindrance, get that spellbook out and immediately be able to prop themselves back up, while you essentially have to open road, that's going to hurt. And I can't help but feel like that's going to be a huge blow to the momentum of this game for Cricky.
Well, the weapon gets griefed here, and YX slowly heals up. So I don't think that Cricky has much of a chance here unless he has a very sick draw.
You say that, but he is in the mortal range now. So if we do see some easy gold, there is a double Fern comes down. I mean, if that hits something, that's going to be huge. But that's a fairly big if to state, especially when facing an Ariane. I mean, personally, I would think about going for that Dagonoth third and just get both the Ferns out of the way. Why on 1 gold? There's not going to be anything particularly aggressive. Perhaps a Wind Surge coming out, but go for both of those Ferns. I don't see how else Cricky's going to win this game by playing it safe.
He needs to get maximum value out of those Ferns, and I'm sure YX doesn't expect it, but he only goes for 1, as it seems.
It's interesting. Ring of Recall
maybe
coming
trying
down.
to keep 1 back.
Ring of Recall really, to me, signifies that this, YX is wanting to end the game right now, and we are seeing a Borrowed Power come out, so I'm interested to see what happens here. The Fern didn't hit, so there's no creatures here.
No minions were played, yeah.
I think YX may have been anticipating a battle, because they've played that Borrowed Power to try and boost themselves up, but it's not
and
actually
he
going to
burns
take
the
any
Gorge
effect.
here.
Indeed.
I think this is going to be a very crucial moment.
I will be seeing an Alchemy followed by potentially an Earthwave in this next chapter.
Or maybe the Ogre Shaman.
So very, very possible.
However, this matchup, I have faced my fair share of Spellbook Ariana and Ladder recently, while climbing the leaderboards in Silver. And the Vanascula matchup isn't particularly good, especially if you run out of steam so quickly.
Interesting thing is, you are going to see the weapon get griefed immediately. That bar fight is going to break it for YX. So if there is an Alchemy there, it's not going to happen, which could play off pretty big for Cricky here.
And that's what I meant with saving the bar fight, because he has the priority of going first. That means his griefing on chapter start is much easier to pull off. But he doesn't play Fern here either. Goes for the Rowdy Cannoneer play instead, hoping that he may draw into his Lady Zane. Oh no, he did use it.
Going to play out there. There's a Wind Surge there, so that's actually going down to 0 gold for YX, which is always a precarious position for an Ariane to be in. However, we could be seeing some sort of gold generation come out immediately after. Boost. That Rowdy Cannoneer is going to be Cricky's end.
That's game, set, and match.
Game, set. Well, it's not set and match yet, but it is game. So
yeah.
1-0 to YX, and I think that second chapter, the really bad draw coming out there for Cricky just killed his momentum and meant that he could not capitalize on what was actually a pretty decent start.
Yeah, I think it's fairly hard to say how this first win will affect the future games. I mean, Cricky now knows what he's facing and what he's up for, because YX can just continue queuing with this Ariana now, and Cricky needs to reinvent himself, maybe picking a more defensive deck and actually stabilizing.
Yeah, Cricky's actually going to be playing the same deck.
Oh god, did I mix it up? Oh, it's Conquest format. I'm so sorry.
No, Cricky's playing the same deck, so he's got faith in that. That means that he's got faith. He is coming up against an Ozan, which means that if he does get that early aggressive nature off, as long as he steals a bit of health, he can potentially out-damage this Ozan. However, as we have seen with Ozans previously in the tournament, you never know what's going to happen. So I'm very interested to see YX's Ozan here.
This is going to be some very interesting mechanics. Maybe both are running Lady Zay.
The chapter 1 Ogre Brute is still on.
Yeah, but in this tournament in particular, players have been playing around Ogre Brute almost perfectly. You would always see a Kusage tournament or a KGP on chapter 1 just to anticipate the Ogre Brute possibility. But starting head for Cricky looks very potent here. He could just go Ogre Brute into
very
Fern
scary
for some really crazy plays. But
not actually too far from reaching that full Darex. He could easily hit that next chapter.
Especially if YX tries to get for to go for a combo with Safe Spot and Kazak, or maybe a Skeleton Warrior. If you
I would say that a third slot Fern is an interesting decision, considering when you're second, that's really only giving you one space to actually hit with that Fern. So
Well,
we'll see.
I think it's a prediction play, and as we said, there's the Marketeer trying to grieve some of the spells, but Cricket didn't play any. He went for a full minion board here.
Safe spot coming up here.
That's what I meant with playing around the combo, but
Absolutely.
if it's a skeleton warrior, so it doesn't
It's a
really
skeletal
matter
champion.
right now. A skeleton champion. If he played the Fern here, actually, if Cricket played the Fern, it would have mattered, but it's just one slot too late right now. He didn't get the right read right there.
Oh, it's a really rough round for Cricket.
Oh, that's
14 HP. Didn't make an inch against that Ozan. Really rough round there.
That explosive starting play is one of Ozan's trademarks, but it's very susceptible to grief, but YX did a really good job in playing around that. Because he didn't get Fern at all. He made sure that his skeletal champion gets down without him taking any significant damage either way. He would have maybe tanked one hit if the Fern came out earlier. So it was rather safe. But
yeah, I mean, we're going to see a slot 1 Fern come out again here. I don't know how much you can do when that Ozan is holding a 6-1 weapon. Oh, he's not going to be any more, though. There is a Wilderness coming out, so this Fern could potentially have some pretty good impact.
It could also set up lethal for YX.
It's only hit a giant spider, unfortunately, so he is going to pay the price for that 3-1 weapon, but it isn't going to be too steep a price. I think YX is going to be okay here.
Giant Spider is an interesting tech choice in Ozan, though. You don't see it usually, unless you want to set up those quick plays with Snapshot, or maybe combo down a Skeletal Champion without using Safe Spot. So
it's an
interesting tech choice. That's just devastating.
Concede it out. Cricket tried to concede out.
Didn't work.
That is going to be 2-0 in 2 very quickly decided games. That chapter 1 was just not something Cricket could ever recover from. I think just about everything that could have went wrong happened for him.
So Cricket down 2 games now. Do you think he'll queue in again with the Venescula?
I hope he doesn't, and he's not. He is going to be going for a Raptor. Maybe he's feeling a little bit tankier after those defeats, and I do hope this works out a little better for him.
YX now queuing the Venescula. He's all in now. He needs to win 3 games. Cricket needs to win 3 games against this particular Venescula deck. So the Raptor might be the safest choice here, also to spy out other tech cards by taking the game as long as possible and getting to know the enemy deck more.
I expect to see whoa, look at that mulligan come in. Cleverly keeping the Crassiad. I thought he was going to keep the Nihil there. But instead, we are going to see him get the Kaijaz, get the anticipation down, and that is a nice bit of sustainability in there with the Dagonoth. So actually, if he faces a really aggressive Venescula deck, as he's probably going to here, he has got ways around it, which is always a good thing when you have just been bursted down by an Ozan.
He also gets Black Knight Titan and Vorago, so we may see some really aggressive plays if Cricket draws into the right cards here. So it will be interesting if YX plays around the possible Chapter 2 Vorago. But YX decides to just buff up, play around the Ogre Brute, and
Troll Chuck is an interesting choice in that deck.
It's a very aggressive card, and some people run this very, very aggressive.
The Fern doesn't hit because of the 4-2 weapon. That would have been devastating otherwise, but thankfully, due to that Kale, the Fern amounted to nothing.
Great read there by Cricket, definitely.
Great, yeah.
And the anticipation coming out just to regenerate some quick HP to get
back
full
up to max.
Again.
However, Venescula does have 5 gold there, which I would be nervous about.
A Gorge play is possible, but she's not quite low enough, you know.
To be honest, against a Raptor, where especially they're holding Black Knight Titan and Virago and things like that, you don't necessarily want to throw away that health. I would rather see the Gorges kept and used later on for a bit of sustain. Because against a Raptor, likelihood is you're not going to be able to burst him down through your normal Alpha Werewolf combos, because, especially as we're seeing here, he's got Sentinels, he's got Fledglings, this guy can heal up a lot if he wants to. He can also get a bit of armor off the Nihil. So I would like to see the Gorge kept for maybe a more defensive play later on.
he can also just keep drawing this turn and playing it very safe.
I'm not surprised that we're
Because-
seeing a higher health tactic come out from Cricky, because he has just been savaged by aggro 2 games in a row.
Yeah, this deck is very anti-aggro. It's playing so many heals and so many comeback mechanics that it's almost impossible to get bursted down by decks like
I really would have
Ozan
liked to see the Nihil
Vascular.
first there. I mean, I feel like that would have been a better use. However, he has got lucky in having 3 base attack. He is still going to one-hit kill that Crassian.
I don't quite get why he plays the Crescent here, to be fair.
I don't think the
Seems
Crassian's
very odd to
actually the
me.
best idea, because he's actually wasting a card draw from it, because he's only going to go draw 2 at the end of the round now. So essentially that Crassian gave him 1 card draw. I would have much rather seen the Nihil or something killed.
Well, maybe he anticipated a griefing play here by the Vascular and tried to go the safe route by just playing 1 creature. And just sit this turn out, let it go over. There's no real need to react, and less playing Dagon Fledgling to heal up again at the end of the chapter. So it's just a waiting turn. He's just trying to pull the game as long as possible.
Excuse me, that's my ridiculous sneeze. I'm still seeing a lot of sustain there with the fledglings, double Nihils. I'm not too sure about the inclusion of White Wolf in this deck. I mean, I get that Raptor can run into some draw problems, but I'm just not sure if it warrants that, personally, when you already have Crassians in there.
I think he has a really bad draw here. He doesn't get the core cards he's looking for. He can't really kill the Dagon of Sentinels to ramp up even further, just because he didn't draw the right cards for it. All he can do now is keep healing up, keep collecting a little bit of gold, and keep the card draw mechanics going. But
it's a really rough
will
time
not do him
here.
much good.
Yeah, he has a really rough time of it here. I mean, there's really not too much he can do outside trying to snipe a weapon durability with the Wilderness, but you're against it, he's going to do that. You're against the Vascular. It's not the best idea in the world. He's actually, with that Ice Nihil, he's trading 7 health for 7 armor, which is a questionable tactic against Vascular. So I feel like this chapter may have seen Cricky grasping at straws a little bit.
Yeah, he's just trying to free his hand up at this time, playing cards that he
I
can draw.
don't like that chapter whatsoever from Cricky. I feel like he may have almost panicked there with no other options.
Oh, the Sergeant Slametoes is coming up.
Sergeant Value coming up.
Definitely an auto-include in many decks just for the
very
pure amount of value that he puts out. And the Werewolf is
It's worth noting that it is worth noting that because of that Wilderness, he is going to break the weapon. He's going to take a little more damage, but Vascular is losing that weapon. So if there's a big creature last, which there unfortunately isn't,
if there is a Gorge last, he's dead. Oh, it's a Wilderness.
Yeah, it's a Wilderness. However, I fear that our valiant Raptor player may not be long for this world.
YX just needs 2 damage right now.
He needs a Goblin Brute or a Scorpion, and he wins. I would be impressed if Vascular. Oh, look at that dead hand! There is the Rage Quit.
Oh my god!
There's already a Rage Quit. He had no chance to do that, and that is the end of Cricky in this tournament.
What a quick 3-0 sweep! I didn't expect that to happen.
Easy, yeah. That he really crashed out there. I do feel unfortunate for the guy. He is a good player. I just feel like I'm not a big fan of that Raptor deck, if I'm honest. However, I feel in the other 2 games he did get unfortunate with how the games played out for him.